Put your faith in the light.
Hello guys, welcome to another one of my videos. This is Lightblade. And well guys, in this one I wanted to make why should you play Retribution Paladins and why shouldn't you play Retribution Paladins in Dragonflight? Because well, I saw some of these articles in Wowhead, like you can see here, that talk about other classes, you know, so there isn't one for Retribution Paladin yet. So I wanted to just make my own one, you know, in a video form. And this way I can tell you guys all that is good with Retribution Paladins and also what we are lacking. Of course, I'll add a bit of humor as always in some parts, and well, let's start with the video. Uther the Lightbringer.
Justice demands retribution.
Vindicator Marad.
Fight on, brothers and sisters!
Tyrion Fortin.
Put your faith in the light.
Arthas Menethil.
This entire city must be purged.
The class fantasy of Retribution Paladins is one of the richest in all of Warcraft lore. A ton of stories and very important events surround this spec. When you pick this class spec combo, you know from the creation screen it was a great decision. Retribution Paladin playstyle entering Dragonflight from Shadowlands hasn't changed that much. It mostly added a lot of improvements on top of the Shadowlands version. It added much needed sustained damage in between our cooldowns in the form of upkeep buffs like of Dusk and Dawn, Seal of Order, and Consecration, making a once useless button to press into an uncapped AoE powerhouse spell. On top of that, the new talents gave us more damage cooldowns that we can cycle in the form of Final Reckoning. Not only that, new talents also made our main cooldown, Avenging Wrath, even stronger, allowing it to become Crusade, have uncapped AoE damage with Sanctified Wrath, and making it last longer with an old legendary effect from Shadowlands, the Mad Paragon. All in all, the Dragonflight's Retribution version is a vast improvement over the Shadowlands counterpart in raiding and even stronger in Mythic Plus content. Retribution Paladins are very easy to get into. The current Machine Gun Retribution Paladin playstyle has a lot of procs and also has very little downtime, making it a very fun and fast-paced spec to play. It also shouldn't be hard for new Paladin players to do decent damage with it. For seasoned Retribution Paladins, min-maxing around procs for multiplicative damage stacking and maintaining buff uptime is crucial and makes for a very engaging playstyle. Retribution Paladins scale very well with more secondary stats as the patches go on in an expansion, since we benefit greatly from our mastery. That's just another flat damage percentage gain, which stacks multiplicatively with other damage cooldowns that we have. We also benefit from other stats like haste, crit, and burst, since they are also very close in value, so nothing really goes to waste or is a dead stat for us. As it stands, currently Retribution Paladins are for Mythic Plus content comfortably and safely sitting in the upper middle part of the damage dealers, and in the middle for pure single target raid fights. We're at our best when it comes to big AoE pulls, since we do have a massive amount of uncapped AoE damage. So while we don't expect any buffs to our damage, we also won't see any nerfs with how things are shaping into the first season of Dragonflight. Retribution Paladins, as any other paladin, has the usual utility: Poison, Disease Dispel, Blessing of Protection, Blessing of Sacrifice, Blessing of Freedom, Lay on Hands, Devotion Aura. Valor Res is the newest addition to our arsenal, and a lot of off-heal potential in the form of Instant Flash of Lights or Word of Glory spam healing. We also bring to the table an AoE stop in the form of Blinding Light and a very short cooldown 6-second single target stun. We can also talent into another stop for Undead in the form of Fear from Turn Evil. It's important to note that to take all this utility we lose virtually zero damage. Well, we lose like 0.1% damage from Seal of Reprisal, but that amount is so small that might as well be zero. For Retribution Paladin specific utility, we bring 2 extra situational stuns for Undead or demons in the form of Exorcism, that is a single target one, and Wake of Ashes, Radiant Decree, that is an AoE stun. Both last 5-second duration. We also have a 50% almost perma slow on targets that are in our Consecration. This can help your tank kite large packs of mobs. This talent also makes our Consecration bigger. Technically we lose a bit of DPS by taking this, but it evens out since enemies are less likely to move out of your big Consecration with the slow on top, so you actually gain some Consecration damage this way. While Retribution Paladin is a perfectly fine spec to play at the moment, there are some reasons that could deter you from playing it, and I will list them here. Unfortunately, the Retribution Paladin talent tree is a very badly designed one. While the talents we do take are great and have a lot of impact in our gameplay, we take them mostly because there is no other choice. We have a lot of completely dead talents or talents that aren't worth the amount of points they ask for. Looking at you, Seal of Reprisal, for just 0.1% damage gained for 2 whopping talent points. Using Consecration is a very annoying spell, sometimes. And I say it like that because while it does great damage, the targets need to be inside of your Consecration to take the damage, you know? And sometimes tanks just move away continuously kiting, lowering the value of this spell. There is also certain affixes that can make them play like this, for example Sanguine. Fortunately, with Necrotic being removed, and tanks also being a bit stronger this time in Dragonflight, making them able to stand in the pack of mobs for longer periods of time, this might just be an afterthought, and we can also kinda counter this movement with the slow and bigger Consecration talent. Asterion, Uther, and Marad, all paladins must face death sometime. But damn, Retribution Paladins face it a lot. We are by far the squishiest melee spec. While we did get a better defensive setup in Dragonflight than we had in Shadowlands, like having the 3.5 minute Divine Shield while still being able to take double Horse and Divine Protection on a 1.4 minute cooldown as a defensive that scales with the damage we take, we are still very susceptible to death. This could have been fixed by giving us Shield of Vengeance on top of also having Divine Protection, but sadly we didn't. Having said that, we do have very good recovery with our heals if we can survive the hit in the first place, so that's something at least. A very good planning and defensive management will be absolutely necessary to do high content as a Retribution Paladin, and the fear of just getting insta-gaped out of nowhere can make people turn away from this spec. Mobility, oh mobility, this is one of the aspects that Retribution Paladins suffer the most. A horse is universally hated by all Reds. I personally don't hate it, but I kinda find it very lame. And from Shadowlands to Dragonflight, it didn't even get better, it just got worse, since the duration is shorter now, and it also costs 3 talent points to get it to a somewhat functioning level. Other than horse, we have 0 other movement spells, while this can be offset by having other classes that can give your group movement like Shamis or Druids. If you're on your own, you'll just have to plan ahead when to use your horse charges to get the most out of them. If you liked Season 4 Retribution Paladin, then you'll like the Dragonflight version of it, since it's just that with other powerful talents from other eras added on top. Dragonflight Retribution Paladin, like I said before, has a very fast-paced, engaging combat. While it does have its shortcomings, those are not damage related. They are mostly survival and mobility. Also take into account that a lot of our shortcomings can be somewhat fixed if you communicate with your group, because after all, WoW is a team game. So guys, that's going to be all for the video today. I hope it helped you decide, and if it did, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching everyone.